Breaking news! Things are heated behind the scenes for the Buffalo Bills. And no, it's not about a new signing or a big addition. It's about one of the cornerstones of the defense possibly leaving the team. Before we continue, if you believe the Bills have the potential to make it to the next Super Bowl, hit that like button right now. Seriously, I totally believe it. This team has talent, grit, and an elite QB. If you believe it too, comment below. Go Bills! I believe it. Now hold on tight, because their future could be hanging by a thread, and the reasons behind this possible trade will surprise you. Bills Mafia, this is going to sting a little. If you thought this offseason would be a breeze, think again. A new report from PFF just dropped a bombshell. Matt Milano has been named the Buffalo Bills' top trade asset. Yes, you heard that right. The same Matt Milano who has been the cornerstone of this defense for years. The same guy who was a first-team All-Pro in 2022. Now what? He might be leaving. Now, before you throw your phone across the room, let's break this down. Why would the Bills consider moving on from a guy like Milano? Well, it's complicated. On one hand, he's been a game changer when he's on the field. On the other hand, he's just not on the field enough. The injuries are piling up. He's played in just 5 games in 2023. The year before, a torn bicep kept him out for most of the season. It's been 2 straight years of inconsistency, and as much as we love Milano, availability is everything in the NFL. So what's the plan? If the Bills actually decide to trade him, what could they get in return? Well, there's already a hypothetical deal floating around. The Bills would receive a 4th-round pick from the Tennessee Titans in exchange for Milano. Not exactly a blockbuster deal, but it makes sense. The Titans desperately need linebacker help. They had one of the worst linebacker groups in the entire NFL last year. This would be an easy fix for them, and for the Bills, it frees up some cap space and opens the door to finding a younger replacement. But let's be real, replacing Milano is not an easy task. The guy has been the heart and soul of this defense when healthy. So how would Buffalo handle this? There are 2 main options. Option 1, the draft. If the Bills trade Milano, they could use one of their 10 draft picks in 2025 to find his replacement. And let me tell you, this draft class is loaded with defensive talent. There are some serious names to watch. Kobe King, Penn State. This guy was a beast in the college football playoff and would be a great addition. Jack Kaiser, Notre Dame, played in the national championship, has high-level experience. Demetrius Knight, Charlotte, someone the Bills have reportedly been interested in. Jeffrey Bassa, Oregon, a potential 4th-round steal. If Buffalo does go the draft route, they don't necessarily need to spend a 1st or 2nd-round pick on a linebacker. There's plenty of value in rounds 4 and 5, where the Bills have multiple picks. Option 2, free agency. Now, this one is tricky. The free agent linebacker market isn't exactly full of young stars. Here are some names that are still out there. C.J. Mosley, 32 years old. Isaiah Simmons hasn't lived up to his potential, but still young. Kaiser White, E.J. Speed, Eric Kendricks, not exactly inspiring, right? That's why if the Bills do move on from Milano, the draft is probably the smarter play. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Should the Bills actually do this? On one hand, it makes sense. Milano turns 31 before the 2025 season. Injuries have been an issue, and the Bills need to think about the future. If you can save some cap space and add draft capital, there's a case for moving on. But on the other hand, it's Matt Milano. He took a pay cut to stay in Buffalo for 2025. He's been a leader in this locker room, and when he's healthy, he's one of the best linebackers in the league. So here's my take. Ride it out for one more season. Give him 2025 to prove he can stay healthy. If he plays a full year and produces at a high level, you reevaluate. But if he misses more time or his play declines, then, yeah, it might be time to say goodbye before 2026. What do you think? Bills Mafia? Should the Bills trade Matt Milano? Type T4 trade or K4 keep. Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you were Brandon Bean, what would you do? And don't forget, subscribe for all the latest Bills news. We're building something special here, and I want you to be part of it. And here's where things get even more interesting. Bills Mafia. Because if the front office is really considering moving on from Matt Milano, it means one thing. They don't think he can stay healthy enough to be part of the team's long-term future. And if that's the case, we have to ask the tough question, is the Matt Milano era in Buffalo already over, and we just don't realize it yet? I know, that sounds crazy. But think about it. The Bills have already started securing their young core. Guys like Greg Rousseau, Khalil Shakir, and James Cook are either locked in or expected to get new deals. And while the team hasn't extended Christian Benford yet, it seems likely he'll be sticking around too. But Milano? Crickets. No extension talks. No reports of the Bills wanting to commit to him beyond 2025. That silence says a lot. Now, you might be thinking, why not just keep him for one more year and see how he plays? And that's fair. But let's talk about what that actually means for the team. 1. Keeping Milano means you're gambling on his health. We all know what he's capable of when he's at full strength. But let's be honest, the last 2 seasons have not been kind to him. 5 games in 2023, a torn bicep before that, and now he's going to be 31? The risk of another injury is real. If he goes down again in 2025, then what? You're scrambling mid-season to fill a massive hole in your defense. 2. Trading Milano now could help Buffalo reload for the future. A 4th-round pick might not seem like much, but if the team already believes they need to replace him, why not get something in return while they still can? The Titans trade scenario makes a lot of sense. Tennessee gets a veteran linebacker they desperately need, and Buffalo gets cap relief plus another draft asset. That's how you build sustainable success. You move on from guys at the right time, not when it's too late. 3. The Bills have other needs that might be bigger priorities. Let's be real, this defense has a lot of question marks right now. Linebacker is important, but what about cornerback? Defensive line? Edge rusher? If Buffalo is serious about competing for a Super Bowl, they need to make sure those positions are solidified. And if moving Milano helps them address bigger concerns, that's something Bean and McDermott have to consider. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but Moose, this guy took a pay cut to stay with us. He wants to be here. And you're absolutely right. Milano has been a team-first player his entire career. He could have chased a bigger paycheck elsewhere, but he chose to stick it out in Buffalo. That speaks volumes about his character and loyalty. But here's the thing, the NFL is a business. We've seen players give everything to a team, only to be moved when it made sense financially or strategically. The Bills have to think about what's best for the long-term future of this defense, even if that means making a difficult decision. So, let's look at the reality of the situation. If Milano stays healthy in 2025 and plays at an elite level, maybe the Bills extend him for another year or 2. If he gets hurt again or his production drops, the team moves on after the season. If they trade him now, they get a draft pick, clear cap space, and start planning for the next generation of linebackers. No matter what, the writing is on the wall. This front office is preparing for life after Matt Milano. The only question is when they make the move. So now it's over to you, Bills Mafia. What would you do? Would you keep Milano and hope he stays healthy? Or is it time to move on and get something in return before it's too late? Drop a comment below. Let's hear what you think. And hey, if you love talking Bills football, make sure you're subscribed. We've got exclusive news, breakdowns, and analysis coming your way all offseason. This is the place for everything Buffalo Bills, so don't miss out. And here's the thing, Bills Mafia, this decision isn't just about Matt Milano. It's about what kind of team the Bills want to be moving forward. Are we a team that holds on to veterans, hoping they can stay healthy and regain their form? Or are we a team that makes the tough calls before it's too late? Look around the AFC. The Chiefs, they're constantly reloading. The Bengals, they built a young core through the draft. The Ravens, they move on from veterans and let the younger guys step up. If the Bills want to stay competitive,